This year, give yourself the gift of crochet. Hi everyone, it's Anya here and I am back with another video for Ophelia Talks Crochet. Now, when I say you will be able to crochet by the end of this video, I do not mean the video in the length as it appears here on YouTube, but by the time you have worked your way through the 5 steps that I am going to show you in this video. Do you remember learning to write? Do you remember learning to swim or ride a bike? You did not know how to do this from the first moment. A teacher or instructor showed you, and then you had to practice, practice, practice. And this is the same with crochet. You have to be shown what to do, then you have to practice to build muscle memory to be able to do your stitches again and again. And that is exactly what I will ask you to do in this video. You will watch part of the instruction, and then you'll have to pause the video and practice, practice and practice. Now that practice can take several hours or even several days. The main thing is that you do not give up. You keep on practicing daily if possible, and that way you will be able to crochet by the time you reach the end of this video. This might not be this week, this might not be at the end of next week, but it could be that you manage to do this in a couple of weeks. In this video, I will show you the basics that you need to learn to be able to do all the rest that I show you in any tutorial of mine. We will do this in 5 steps. So once you have worked your way through the 5 steps, you should be able to tackle any of my patterns or video tutorials that I have on my channel. Of course, you still need the tuition in those tutorials because every project is going to have special things that you will have to take into account. Or, for instance, a new stitch for you to learn. Although you will learn all the basic stitches here, combinations of stitches you will have to find out and learn for each separate project. Now, this is my tried and tested method. I have taught many people to crochet, young and old, by this particular method. Some people were complete beginners and didn't even know how to hold a hook. And I know that by now they have all successfully completed large and small crochet projects, the ones that they really wanted to make. You will need to dedicate some time, space, calm and quietness to give yourself this gift of crochet. And before you know it, you will be making all kinds of projects too, from blankets to wearables, from small to large things. Please also consider joining my Facebook group. It is a lovely crochet community with wonderful like-minded people, and if you are doing this 5-step program to learn how to crochet, you can post your progress there. I would love to see your trials and little swatches that you will be making throughout this process. And of course, you can ask for advice and support from the members. Use the hashtag 5steps2crochet so we can easily find your posts and keep up with your progress. We are there to encourage you. So to start your journey into crochet, you're going to need a ball of yarn, of course. So here I have a ball of yarn which is DK thickness, it's double knitting. and this is prescribed for a 4mm crochet hook, so I would suggest you use a 4mm crochet hook if you have this type of yarn. Here I have an Aran thickness of yarn, which is thicker than the DK, and it is prescribed for a 5mm crochet hook, so I have a 5mm crochet hook here. Now, as you can see, this one is a little bit thicker than this one, so you can choose which one you would like to start with, but make sure you have a 4 for this one, a 5 for this one. Also, start with a uniform color of yarn, so no variegated yarn, because that will make it very difficult for you to recognize your stitches. And this ball of yarn is going to be used up, it's going to be discarded. You're going to have to practice with this, and you're not going to make much at all with it, but it is just for you to learn. So this ball of yarn might not end up becoming anything apart from teaching you how to crochet. So today I have decided to use the DK thickness of yarn with my 4mm crochet hook. Also, this is a light colored yarn, which helps when you are learning. You will also need a pair of scissors and of course this video to come back to. In this video I am crocheting with my left hand. I also have another video available which shows you how to do this with your right hand. So let's get started with step 1. Now, every crochet project starts with a slip knot. So let me show you how I make my slip knot, and I find it is an easy way to do it and an easy way to remember. Of course, there's lots of different ways of how to do this, but this way is quite an easy one. So you have the yarn in your hand like this. You're going to hold on to it like so. Then you wrap your yarn twice around 2 fingers. You then hold on to it there with your ring finger. You now have a strand at the back and you have a strand at the front. The strand that's at the back, you're going to pull that up and bring it over the strand at the front. Now this strand is at the back and this strand is at the front. So you're going to go to the strand that's here at the back. You're going to pick that one up and pull that one up and bring it to the front. Then the strand that then becomes at the back, you're going to put your finger under that one, pull that one up and up and up, and taking your fingers out, and there you have your slip knot. This is your end. This is your working yarn, and now you can pull the end. Can you see? And the slip knot becomes smaller. Now, if you pull too much, the slip knot is gone. So let's try that again. Put the end in your hand like this. Wrap it around 2 fingers, holding on with the ring finger, twisting it towards you. Take the back strand, bring it to the front. Take the back strand, bring it to the front. And then this strand at the back now, you're going to pull that one up and make your slip knot. You will find that if you pull this end, the working yarn, it doesn't become smaller. If you pull this end, it does become smaller and you can close your loop. But of course, if you pull too much, it's gone. So let's try again. Voila. So this is something that you're going to have to learn to do really quickly and really often as well. So let's try again.
put the end in your hand like this, wrap it around 2 fingers, twist it towards you, bring the back strand over the front strand, the back strand over the front strand, pick up the back strand, and you have your slip knot. So what I would like you to do as your homework for step 1 is to make a slip knot. Learn how to make your slip knot. Do it again and again until you have muscle memory for making a slip knot.
So pause the video here, practice making your slip knot, and I will see you soon for step 2. Welcome to step 2. You have now mastered the art of making a slip knot, so I hope you have been practicing that, and now you are ready for holding the hook and holding the yarn. And with those we are going to make a chain. So let's get started by showing you how to hold your yarn. We need to feed the yarn onto our hook from our right hand. So our right hand is going to feed the yarn onto the hook in a certain tension. And to create that tension, we're going to do a couple of wrapping movements around our fingers. So you hold the yarn like this. You bring your hand like this up. You go under the pinky with the yarn. You wrap it around the pinky, going under these 2 fingers here, and then above the index finger while you twist your hand. So the yarn comes in, goes around, under and over. So let's try that again. You pick it up from the underside of your pinky, around the pinky, and the index goes under as well. Pick it up, twist your hand, put the yarn on top of the index. Pick it up, twist, and the index underneath. Pick it up, twist, index underneath. Like so. Okay. So of course we're going to get started by making our slip knot. Voila. Then we hold the end in our hand like so. You bring your hand onto your yarn, holding the slip knot. Then we are going to go to our hook. Now the hooks that I use are higher hooks. Can you see the brand there? We sell them on our website, and the special thing about these hooks is that not only do they slide incredibly well, let me just remind you, not when you get them first, because they have a little bit of sticky residue. So once that residue is finished within the first 10 stitches, this hook will become much smoother. You also have a flat bit here. This flat bit indicates where my hook part of my hook is. So I know that if I have my flat bit like this, my hook will be sticking up there. So the way I hold my hook like this helps me to know where my hooky bit of my hook is, if you see what I mean. So your hook is like this. Of course, this is where you're going to hook the yarn behind to be able to pull it through things. And knowing where your hook is very important, because some people, I see them twisting their hook all the time. I don't twist my hook. I hold it so I know where my hook is, and I just go backwards and forwards. So now let's put the hook into the slip knot. So we've got at the end of our yarn. You hold this in your left hand, insert your hook into the loop.
You're going to pull the end to make the slip knot smaller, but not too small. And this way the loop will stay behind the hook. Okay, so now let's correct our hand position on this side on our working yarn. And now let's make a chain. So I am holding my hook onto the flat bit here between my thumb and my index. I've got my end here in between these two fingers and I am holding my yarn there. So now I'm going to bring the loop closer to the hook. I'm going to go under my working yarn and loop it behind my hook, holding on to the slip knot because we've got nothing to hold on to, so we need to help it along a little bit. And we're going to pull the yarn through the loop that's around our hook. We now have made another loop around our hook, and again it has that same shape. So you're going to go and get the yarn and bring it through the loop on your hook. Now what I am doing is making sure that I am slightly twisting my hook down to make that same shape to be able to get through my loop. You get the yarn, you hold it behind your loop, and you're going to pull that through. Now, as you can see, we have a teardrop shape here, and this, looking at it like this also makes a teardrop shape. This is why it is possible for us to get in here and to come out. But if we don't hold our hook in that lower position and you're like this, you can't get out. Okay, so you're going to yarn over. Look, my hook is now sideways, as you can see. So if I pull this, I'm not going to be able to get through. What I need to do is point my hook down, and then I can pull it gently through the loop. I am not actually twisting my hook, I am gently manipulating my hook in such a way that the hooky bit is pointing down when it goes through the loop. Make sure you have wiggle room in your loop. Make sure you don't pull this tight. Make sure you just let it glide through your fingers. And all I'm doing is holding my hook like this. I'm going to get the yarn, pull it back. Get the yarn, pull it back. My right thumb and index do keep hold of the chains that I have already made and help to keep it tensioned to help me in making my chains. You get the yarn, you pull it back through the loop. And then you pull up your loop and you can have a look at your work. Now I've done quite a few stitches here, and as you can see, they are reasonably the same size. They're not tight, they're not too big, but they look uniform. So let me show you what happens when you have really tight stitches. So I am going to do this, hopefully. Right, let's pull this. Okay, so if this is too tight, you will struggle getting through the loop. Okay, can you see how tight this is? There's no need for them to be this tight. This is fine. This feels hard, this feels soft. If you do them too loose, this might be a good way for you to practice, to do the movement, but you're not going to be able to make anything with this, because once you start putting stitches on this, you are just going to create holes. Generally what happens is you will do a tight one, another tight one, a very loose one, a tight one, loose, but that's okay because you are practicing. So if your work looks like this to start with, keep going. You just need to find this hand doing the movement. See, it's the same movement. I'm not twisting my hook, I am just going and getting the yarn from this hand. So I've got my yarn coming from here now because that's easier for me to go and collect it, because we also have to hold on to our chain, and I do that with these fingers here. If you don't hold on to this, that doesn't work. I do this all the time. I reposition my hand all the time, because sometimes you're doing something and you just lose it a little bit. That's fine. You can always reinsert your hand, start using your yarn again from at the top of your finger there. And this hand is always holding the hook like this. You will see sometimes when I've done a lot of crocheting, I'll have an imprint of my hook laying on my finger there, okay? And that's the flat bit there, as you can see. And here as well, I get an imprint as well. So this is how I hold my hook. There are other ways, okay? There are other ways to hold your hook. Some people hold it like this, but that means, again, see, not so easy for me. You need to hold on to the flat bit so you know where your hook is, and you do this movement. Oh, it works. It works. Whichever way you hold on to your hook is fine, obviously, as long as you can do the stitch efficiently. Because I believe in trying to do this in an efficient way, and you know, the more efficient you are, the easier and the quicker you can make something. I know it's not about speed, but still you need to try and be efficient when you make something. So trying to do this in the most efficient and smoothest, easiest way is the best way. So this is what we generally do. You place the yarn over the hook and you pull it through the loop on your hook. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. And this is the chain. Now sometimes you will notice you are trying so hard and your yarn starts splitting. But that is generally because you are trying so hard to get through. But did you see I did not have my hook in the correct position? And now look, I'm through, but I'm stuck because there's other strands there that I shouldn't. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I was trying to go through this bit here, which doesn't work. So make sure you yarn over, you have your hook in the lower position to get through that shape. The shape is this. Your hook can go through it like this. The shape is this, but if you hold your hook like this, you're not going to get through. Okay? So make sure you always have your hook pointing down when you go through the loop. And now you're going to do this for as long as you need to, until you have at least 20 centimeters of uniform chains. So your homework this time is to make more chains. Don't forget to start again using a slip knot, holding your hook and tensioning your yarn in your hand. So good luck, and I will see you when you have mastered the art of making a crochet chain.
At this stage in your crochet journey, it won't mean much to you, but just so you know, I use American terminology on my channel. There is also another set of terminology called the UK terminology, and some of the terms are the same, but they mean a different stitch. So you need to make sure you find out for each pattern which terminology the designer is using, and that way you can adjust your stitches to that. I always use American terminology in my videos and my patterns, but for this particular video here, I will put both the names on the screen so you know which one I am talking about, even if you're wanting to learn the UK terminology.
Hi there, welcome to part 3. How are you doing? Well done so far if you have made it to this step of the video. So let's now start with pulling up our loop, and we're going to cut off the yarn. So you have now been making some chains, and I hope that you have achieved a uniform look in your chains. And what happens now? We have cut off the yarn, but do you remember when we made a slip knot, when we pulled the yarn, the slip knot disappeared? Well, actually, if you're not careful now, you've cut off the yarn. If you pull it, you're going to undo it, okay? So unless you want to keep your crochet, make sure you do not pull it, but you're going to pull the end out. So this is the end. I'm going to keep on pulling on my loop until the end comes out. And now I have a little knot. So here now, this is not going to come undone. I am pulling it, it's not coming undone. So this is how I generally end most of my crochet projects. I cut off the yarn, pull up the loop and end like this. Okay, so there we go. So that was step 2. Now to get started on step 3, we're going to start again. So we're going to make our slip knot, because we can do that. We're going to make the loop a little bit smaller by pulling our end. There we go. Then you're going to take your hook, put it into your loop, pull the end here, hold the end in your hand, and we're going to chain 10 chains. So we're going to put our hand into our working yarn, and we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 chains. So I don't know whether you noticed, but each time I went through the loop on my hook, that's when your stitch is finished, and that is when I actually counted 1, 2, 3 and so on. So our stitch consists of 3 little strands. So we have here at the top, we have 2 little strands here. They make up a V. Okay, so this is a strand and this is a strand. This is the back loop, this is the front loop, and I said there were 3 strands. Well, there's a strand at the back and we call that the back bump. So this is our chain, and that was the anatomy of the chain. So first of all, before we start doing our stitch, we're going to have to do a turning chain. And a turning chain is just an extra chain that we use for allowing us to make the height and for allowing us to turn, basically. So you're going to just make one chain. This chain generally doesn't count for anything else. It doesn't count in your count, and you don't need to take this into account anymore. It has already done its job. Now we're going to go to our 10th chain. So that means we've got a strand here and a strand there. What we're going to do is we're going to insert into the chain. Now, many people just pick up the back loop, and to me that makes holes. So I try to pick up the back loop and the back bump by going into, and I don't know whether you can see it, but there is a dark place here. Can you see where the two strands of the V meet? Here, there's a little bit of a dark place. I go into there. That means I have two strands above my hook, one strand underneath. I'm going to go to my working yarn, pull it through the stitch, and now I have two loops on my hook. Now I'm going to yarn over again, and I'm going to pull this yarn through the two loops that are now on my hook. So position your hook down, because we've got those shapes again. It goes through, and you bring up one loop. Next thing, this is our next set of two V's, two strands of the V. Can you see there's a darker place there? You go into that dark place, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through the two loops. We are now making single crochets. So this is American terminology, but in UK terminology, this is called a double crochet. So into the dark place, picking up the back strand and the bump, pulling up your loop, yarn over and pull through the two loops. Now, as you can see, it is a little bit fiddly. We are working with a very small amount of stitches, a very small item here. So it is all a bit fiddly, and you can see that these fingers are also doing a job. They're holding on to my work. Here I'm trying to hold on to my item so that it stays tensioned. Okay, so I'm going to go in, push my hook into the next stitch, bring up a loop, pull up the loop slightly so it's sort of at the same level as the other one, not completely but still, yarn over and pull through the two loops. As you can see, you have one strand left over, the other two strands are encapsulated into the stitch. Make sure you don't skip a stitch, or make sure you don't do two stitches in the same stitch. Look, this is what I'm doing here. Voila. Now I have two stitches in one stitch, as you can see. So that's not what we're doing at the moment. So let's undo that one. Okay, so into that location there where it looks a little bit darker, pull up a loop, yarn over again and pull through the two loops on your hook. Into this location, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two. And I am indeed helping a lot with my fingers to make sure that my little piece of fabric that I'm creating here stays tensioned. We did 10 chains, so now I'm going to have a look at the top of my work here. Can you see the V's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 V's. And yes, I have one more left to do our 10th stitch. So let's do that. This one is always very stubborn. Because the slip knot is there, it very often becomes really small. So you just have to make sure you have a little help with your nails or whatever to get into that. Then you hold on to the slip knot, bring up a loop, yarn over and pull through the two loops on your hook. There we go. So we have now done our first row of 10 single crochets. And this is now how you are going to go and continue working on this piece of fabric. So you're going to chain one. It does not count. We've just done that for the height. Now we're going to turn our work like you turn the pages of a book. You're going to insert, but this time you have to make sure that you tip your work towards you. You see the 2 strands of the V, and you go into your stitch, picking up those 2 strands. So let me show you again in a moment. Then we pull through the yarn, we pull up a loop, yarn over, and we pull through the 2 loops. So here again as well, I can see a dark place. This is where I'm going to go in, push through to the other side, and automatically I have picked up these 2 loops here. Now I have to say, I call them loops, I call them strands, I call them a V. I mean the same thing, okay? So you yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And you have created another V. Can you tell? So this loop here will become our next V. So into the dark place there, go through your fabric, bring back the working yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through the loops on your hook. So you're going to go in, go and get the yarn from your hand, pull up the loop, yarn over, and pull through. And always yarn over your hook. Again, I'm holding on with all my other fingers to my piece of fabric here to keep it tensioned, to keep it easy to make my stitches. And sometimes I do this, but I try to work as efficiently as I can. So once again, let's count our stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this time, this is what the top of our stitch looks like. So we have those 2 strands of the V. I've counted 9, and yes, indeed, here there is a last one of those V's, a last one of those dark places. I think it should be made into a film. Let's go into the dark place. I'm sure there is. There we go. Okay, so I have now done 10 single crochets, and now we do exactly the same thing as before. We chain 1, we turn like the pages of a book, we tilt, we pick up straight away from the first stitch onwards, where you can see those 2 strands of the V. You go into that dark place there, bring up the yarn and do your stitch. So insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull the yarn through the 2 loops on your hook. Insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2. And there we go. Now you're going to have to practice this, and you'll be doing this until you find this easy. This is the single crochet. You need to be able to remember how to do the single crochet. You do it on top of a chain, or on top of itself, or on top of any stitch. There we go. So as you can see now, we have got a little piece of fabric, and yours might be curling and twisting and all kinds, but that's because you have not yet mastered doing your tension just yet, but that will happen in time. So this is what I am hoping you will be able to create soon.
And the secret to that is practice, 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 and practice again.
Now it is possible that you do 2 stitches in 1 stitch, or that you skip a stitch. So each row count and make sure you have your 10 V's on top of your work, just like I have here. So have a practice, pause the video, and I will see you when you have created something that looks like this, but do as many rows as you feel like to be able to make sure that your stitches are looking uniform and pretty like this. Welcome back to the video. This is step 4. In step 4 we are going to learn to make the half double crochet. Now in UK terms this one is called half treble crochet. So let's first of all recap what we already know. So let's get started with making a slip knot. Insert the hook. We're going to close the loop by pulling the end. Hold your hook in your left hand between your thumb and your index, and then you're going to wrap the yarn around your right hand. And then we're going to start chaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 times. So now we have a little chain of 10 stitches. Now we're going to do a turning chain. This will give us the height but nothing else. So let's do one more chain into the 10th chain. So this one here, we're going to go in near that dark place, remember, pull up a loop, and we're going to go and get the working yarn and pull it through the 2 loops on our hook. Again, insert into the chain, into that dark place, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So when I insert into my chain, automatically I am that close to my working yarn, I can easily pick it up and bring it through. Yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. So I am using my other fingers to just hold on to the piece of fabric that I am creating, just so that I can create some tension to make sure I can actually achieve nice stitches. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I need 10 stitches, and indeed I have that 10th chain here. Let's go into it. There we go. Always a little bit more difficult. And voila, there we are. Okay, so this is my little row of 10 single crochets, and this is where we ended in step 3. So now for step 4, I'm going to show you how to make a half double crochet. So while we did 1 chain here and 1 chain to start our row of single crochets, we are now going to do 2 chains, 1 and 2. This is to create the height of our stitch that we are going to be creating now. So we need 2 stitches. Now generally these 2 chains do count as our first half double crochet. The chain one doesn't count. There's not enough substance to it. But here, the chain 2 does count. So we are going to consider it as our first stitch. We're going to turn our work. And we're going to start using the first stitch from here. So not the first stitch where that chain 2 is coming out of, but the next one there. Now to do a half double crochet, we're first going to yarn over. So we're going to put yarn onto our hook before we insert into, yes, you got that, the dark place. There we go. Okay, we're picking up 2 strands of the V. Then you hook behind the working yarn, pull that through. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Now you're going to go and get more of the working yarn, so yarn over, and you're going to pull through the 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, hold on with your thumb onto your piece of fabric here so you can position the 3 loops in one line, and you're going to go through it with the hook down, bring back the loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the 3 loops on your hook. Now this stitch, as you can see, is taller than the single crochet because you've got an extra piece of yarn laying there making it taller. And this way, of course, your work will grow quicker. So you yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, position them nicely in a row so you can get through all 3 in one go. And once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't forget, this one is our 9th one. So there is that last stitch to be used here. So yarn over, insert, picking up both those strands of the V, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the 3 loops on your hook. Then we're going to get started by doing 2 chains. You turn your work. This chain 2 counts as the first stitch coming out of this V here. Then from the next stitch we're going to yarn over, insert under the V, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the 3 loops on your hook. And this is what we call the half double crochet, and I do really enjoy this stitch. It grows quicker than the single crochet. Sometimes you might get stuck after 2, but just continue on with your path through the 3rd loop. And as you can see with my hand here, all I'm doing is backwards and forwards, and I know where my hook is at all times. There you go. So here I've now done 9 stitches, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So I'm going to have to do the 10th one into the chain here. Voila. And continue with placing 2 chains. You turn, you skip the first one, you go under the next one, and you do your half double crochets. As you can see, look, there is a little hole here for you to go into, and this makes it a lot easier to position your stitches. Now here, make sure you realize that actually you've got that little hole, but that is this stitch here, okay? And here you still have to place a stitch into the second chain of that turning chain. I know we're making holes here on the side, but there are different methods of turning. There are different ways of doing this. Some people do the chain 2 and still do a half double crochet. Okay, some people do one chain and then do the half double crochet. There are different ways. I am here just to show you how to do the basic stitch, and of course each project that you do after this, once you know how to crochet, will give you the specifics of their project. They will then tell you, depending on the project that you're making, whether or not you're going to let that chain 2 count as a stitch or not, or whether you're going to do a chain 1 and a stitch and so on. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you a way of doing this so you can practice. Look, I'm going to put it in there now. Look, so this is into the first stitch as well as the chain 2. Okay, so I mustn't forget that I did that, and I make an extra stitch in my next row because I am still working with a little row of 10 stitches, so make sure you keep on counting your 10 stitches. But it's just a way for you to be able to practice doing the half double crochet. So that is what we are doing right now, and you will now have to spend some time doing your half double crochet, getting used to yarning over. Oh, there we go. So getting used to yarning over before you insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the 3, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, 3, and having the yarn just there so it's easy for you to pick it up. There we go. So I know where my yarn is. I don't even see when I pick it up like this, when I go like that, from where I'm sitting, I'm looking in the viewfinder now, and I can see it, but from where I'm sitting I can't even see it, but I know it's there. So this is the habit that you need to get yourself into. So let's count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I've got enough stitches. 1, 2, turn. I'm going to do one in the same as the chain 2. And as you can see as well, the work that we are doing now is growing a lot more than when we were doing single crochets. Now, if you fancy, you could still do a row of single crochets, because obviously you can. Okay, so there we go, one into here. Let's see if we've not made 11 stitches now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There we go. Okay, so now I can do a row of single crochets. So 1 chain, turn, and I do my single crochets. So for your homework this time, of course, you're going to be practicing your half double crochet, but make sure you also do some single crochets in between there so you don't forget anything. Good luck, and I will see you soon. Hi there, welcome to step 5. I hope you have been enjoying step 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I hope you have been practicing your half double crochets and your single crochets. So let's cut off the yarn here, pull up the loop, and let's put this to the side because yes, we are going to start again. I know. It's just a matter of practice, practice, repeat, doing it again and again. So let's get started with our slip knot. Insert your hook, pull the end to close the loop, and then position your hand, and let's start doing our chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. And in step 3 we made a single crochet row, so we're going to do that as well. So chain 1, disregard this one, it doesn't count for anything apart from helping us turn. Into the 10th chain, let's insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on our hook for a single crochet, and we're going to do that 10 times. Make sure you go into each chain along your chain. There we go, I've done 9. Now for the last one here, always stubborn that one. There we go. Voila. Okay, so we now have 10 stitches, 10 single crochets onto our 10 chains. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to start doing half double crochets, and I'm just going to do one in that first stitch as well. So yarn over into the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3 loops, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3 loops, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through the 3 loops. Make sure you find the last V to go under. There we go, that is our row of half double crochets finished. Now for the next stitch we're going to do double crochets. Now in the UK these are known as treble crochets, but in the US we call them double crochets. So we're going to do 2 chains. Now these 2 chains, once again, sometimes they count as a double crochet, sometimes they don't. So let's let them count for now. We're just going to practice our double crochets. So we're going to turn our work. We're going to skip that first stitch because this, so to speak, is already our double crochet. Into the next stitch is where we're going to place our first double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, insert into that stitch in that dark place, pull up a loop, then you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through the first 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on your hook. So let me show you that again. Yarn over, insert, picking up 2 strands there. You're going to bring back the working yarn. So now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over. You're going to pull through the first 2 loops, 1, 2, and come out again. Yarn over, 2 loops on your hook here. You're going to pull through the loop there. And this way you're going to sort of break your line and go and get more yarn. So before we were lining them up with 3, this time we're just lining them up with 2, and midway, see, look, we're lining them up, come out, get more yarn and pull through. And this way we are making an even taller stitch. And this is of course the stitch which will make your work grow even quicker. So there we go. So yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And have I done 10 of them? Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and then yes, this one is going to be our 10th one. So let's start a new row. So chain 2, you turn, and let's make this one not count as our double crochet. So I'm going to go into that very first stitch as well and do a double crochet there, then into the next stitch, and each time you do a double crochet, before you start, you yarn over, you insert, you pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 1 loop on your hook. And this way you can make a stitch that is taller than a half double crochet, and that indeed is taller than a single crochet. And then here, don't forget to place one in that chain, because otherwise you do not have 10 stitches. So now I would like you to have another practice to make sure you get this double crochet under your belt. It is very important that you know which stitch you are talking about, that you know which stitch you are doing. If I say do a row of half double crochets, then you know, ah yes, that's pulling through 3. If you are going to do a row of double crochets, then you know, ah yes, that's breaking the line and getting more yarn and pulling through 2, pulling through 2. And single crochets is the shortest stitch to do. Okay, so as you can tell, this is the row of single crochets. Look, it's hardly visible. This here is the row of half double crochets. So yes, it is taller than the single crochet ones, but not as tall as these ones here. So now also you can see this here is the back of the double crochet. This is the front of the double crochet.
So as you are making your stitch, the side facing you is the front, and of course the side on the other side will then be the back of the stitch. And now your last homework will be to keep on practicing the double crochet. But that's not where it ends. This is where your crochet journey begins, and you will be making lots and lots of wonderful projects before you know it.
Now, all along the 5-step program, we have been working with only 10 stitches. So you now know how to make a slip knot, a chain, a single crochet, a half double crochet and a double crochet. You have repeated these stitches many times already. The question is, would you like to make a granny square? Because once you learn how to make a granny square, you can either make lots of granny squares and join them to turn into a blanket, or you could simply keep going with that one granny square and turn it into a big granny square. So I'm showing you in this video how to make a granny square, and that video is a special video again for beginners where you can just follow along. Again, practice, 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 okay? I would like to wish you good luck on your crochet journey. and I hope you will make all the lovely projects you have always imagined you would make. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos, because I would love to see you in the next video, as well as in previous videos. You will be able to make lots and lots of the projects that I have already published on my channel. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!